F125 is here. I'm Brendon Leigh, two-time Formula One sim racing world champion, and today I'm going to show you how to get pro settings in F125, maximizing the game's capability. So, with that being said, let's get straight into the video and straight into the settings. F1 2025 has landed, and I am so excited to be sharing with you all of my brand new settings for the brand new Formula One game. Going for my force feedback settings, camera settings, on-screen display, audio settings, and everything in between. There'll be timestamps down below in the video description if you want to find specific settings suited to your needs. With that being said, the first part of the video is going to be force feedback, as quite simply, I think that's what people would want the most. So, with that being said, getting straight into the menus and into the heart of the video, I have a SimiCube 2 Sport wheelbase, VRS pedals, Asher Ultimate wheel rim, as well. Going into the calibration, everything is set to 0. The reason I have everything set to 0 is quite simply as I like to have a one-to-one feeling what I'm physically doing with my inputs and how that's translating to in-game. If I remember correctly, brake linearity comes standard and stock delivered to you by the game at 25. I would always recommend putting that down to 0 if you do have a load cell brake pedal. The reason for that is when you put this higher, it makes the first half of the brake travel less sensitive, and as a natural result of that, the second half of the brake pedal is more sensitive. So we're just going to show you exactly in a live action how this looks. So I set the brake linearity to 50% just here, and we're going to try and hold 20%. You see we're holding 19, a little bit more. Okay, it's going between 19 and 20, good enough for the test. And now we're going to go out of this holding exactly the same brake pressure with my foot, and we're going to put it down to 0, and now it translates instantly to 35, 34, flickering between the two numbers. So as you can see, of course 50% is a big number within the in-game setting, but it directly translates to brake pedal input, and it means it's not a one-to-one ratio. At the moment, my brake pedal is exactly a one-to-one ratio with what my foot is doing, so you can put this to 0 and race with confidence. If you have a brake pedal that's done by distance, then maybe you want to put this a little bit higher to bring a little bit more confidence, but if you do have a load cell brake pedal, I would always say put this down to 0. My force feedback is of course set to on, obvious statement, I know, but we also have 65% at the top of the screen. The reason I have 65% is that's the point that you don't get clipping within the game for my testing so far. If you don't know what force feedback clipping is, when you put the force feedback too high, it just makes rattling and it's not really precise force feedback inputs for you to learn about what's happening with the car. Whereas if you put the force feedback too low in the game, it just means that it doesn't have enough force to tell you what's going to happen with the bumps and with the car going around the track. So 65 for me is the sweet spot. Going through the on-track effects, rumble, off-track, pit stop, and wheel damper, all of these are set to 0 because by testing and from what I understand about the game, everything above 0 is a boosted signal. So if you drive around on 0, you will still feel the bumps of the track and the rumble strip effects, of course the curb effects going around the circuit. If you put them above 0, it will be boosted, as I just previously said. I don't want boosted signals. I want to find a one-to-one feeling with the car and the track when going around the circuit. Additionally, because I'm looking at performance, I don't want to be distracted by a curb. I can see that I'm on the curb. I don't need to have my wheel rattling around to tell me that as well. Wheel damper is something that you can change. As I always say, I like it on 0 because I don't like having extra dampening within my wheel. If you do like having a dampening, and some F1 sim racing drivers do have this on 1 or 2 on their setting, then feel free, but like I say, I always prefer on 0. This is a massive one on the F1 25 game, setting your maximum wheel rotation very, very low. I have mine down to 300. The reason for this is the steering has become a bit less sensitive compared to F1 24. So if you had, for example, 340 wheel rotation on F124, you really want to be running about 300. If you had about 320, then maybe you want about 290. Either way, the maximum rotation I would go on this year's game is 320, but I really advise about 300, and that's what really works well for me at the moment. Going through your button schemes, of course, this is very personal preference, but as some guidance and some tips and tricks that I would recommend people to do, always have your DRS with an easy activation for your thumb or finger. The reason for that is when you're battling people in a race, you don't want to lose the opportunity to press DRS as quick as possible. Same as your pit limiter, as well as your overtake button. Get that in a place that you can be pressing it super quickly and not having to think about moving your hand, and that'll be the optimal way to go about it. Little tip, because I keep on forgetting it in previous games as well, remember where your manual pit stop button is, as that can make a big difference. I found myself scrambling for the manual pit stop button in previous episodes and previous videos as well. So learn from my experience and put that in a place that you can remember. A little trip as well down to the bottom of the pages, and you have your brake bias, increase, fuel mix, and you have your MFD shortcuts. If you have some spare buttons on your wheel, I would highly recommend mapping them to be making them useful for your brake bias, increase, decrease, differential, ERS mode as well. One massive thing that I do, what I think helps me quite a lot, is I have my ERS increase and decrease mapped to buttons that my right thumb and my left thumb can reach very easily when driving around the circuit, so I can be changing them going in and out of corners without actually having to move my hands, and that can be giving me an advantage. Going into how I hold the overtake button, I prefer to press and hold the overtake button, whereas some people prefer to press it, release their thumb, and press it again to turn off the overtake button. I like holding it because I like to know as soon as I take my thumb off it, for whatever reason, if there's a crash, surprise, or just something happening down the straight, I can release it quicker than needing to tap it. Again, just personal preference, and you could be adjusting it also in your own way. Going to the graphical settings right now of the game, this is my video mode settings, and going down the page, VSync is turned off. I really recommend just keeping it off. If you turn it on, it can add some input delay, and we don't like input delay around here. VSync interval, if I get my words correctly there we go, lovely jubbly. It's set to auto, so basically the game can decide what is best in that exact moment, and I find that to be very efficient. The refresh rate of the monitor is set to 170. That's the maximum output for my monitor, so just something that I would recommend you doing as well is maximizing it. And big one, really big one. From what I understand, and from what I've tested, and from what I've seen, they have fixed the 60 FPS glitch, so you no longer have to run low FPS within the game, and I am very excited about that. So that is a very cool point. Thank you, Cody's, lovely jubbly. As we go down to the filtering, time 16, just quite simply because it looks better, as well as we have the DLSS with the quality mode, again just because it looks better and it's very stable for my PC. I will post a screenshot in the video of my graphical settings with my average FPS as well. Going down here into the advanced setup, and in all honesty, this is just preset high with one change, so it does say that it's custom, but I've only made one change to the preset high setting, and that is going to be NVIDIA Reflex set to plus boost. If you don't know what that does, it just lowers the input lag, the input latency for my wheelbase to the in-game action, and it just makes it a bit more one-to-one feeling. So if you do have that, turn it on, as it will help your pace and performance. Going down into the audio settings of the game, master volume is set to 10, 10, 10 off, because I don't really care to listen to the game music, in all honesty. Player car, other car, voice chat audio is all set to 10 as well. Onboard mix is set to cinematic because I think that sounds the best. I have tried the driver and broadcast, but cinematic seems to be the best one for me. Going down here, we have engineer ducking is set to light, just simply so I can hear the engineer a little bit better when they're telling me about details of the weather forecast or what's happening in the race, and just makes it a bit easier for me to be hearing in those very critical moments that I might need. Going through, we actually have the settings set to ultra high. I was previously just testing it before this video to get all my facts aligned and get my facts correct, but I would always recommend running ultra high. It does make a difference to the audio quality of the game, and if you can run it without your PC having little lags and crackles, as it mentions here in the description, then it is definitely better to do so. If you do get lags and crackles, then do put it lower, but for me, like I say, it's even given me the warning there, but for me, luckily my PC is good enough to handle ultra high, and that's what I would recommend. I haven't actually changed anything with the Leigh commentator as well, just David Croft.
Lewis Hamilton on screen there.
And we have
joining me in the commentary box this afternoon, the First Lady of World Motorsports, Naomi Schiff.
Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Joining me for this one is Naomi Schiff.
Woo! Lovely jubbly. Good one, lad. Of course, my radio language is English because I speak English and all my videos are in English. My upshift tone is turned off and my formation lap parking sensor is turned on because it just helps. And then as well, I set this to responses only, just so I'm not distracted by the engineer telling me that I'm running out of fuel in a qualifying lap. Because seriously, that is so annoying when I'm on a qualifying lap and the engineer just pops along and goes, "Oh, box now, you're running out of fuel." I know, I'm on a qualifying lap. You're meant to be low on fuel. Anyway, getting on to the rest of it, you can see music is turned on, but I have it up in the menu set to 0 anyway, so I don't hear it, so I don't need to be changing that. And my subtitles are turned off because I just find them distracting when driving around in circles. My camera setting, I'm going to show you at the end of the video, and as well going to be showing you every single car well to go with that, so that'll be at the end of the video. My on-screen display is set to this, delta time is turned on as well, then permanent session timer is turned on as well. The reason I have that on is so in qualifying I can always see how much time is left in the session and make appropriate strategy calls to box for new tires or changing conditions throughout the session. My rear view mirror is set to off because I find it distracting having a big mirror when I can just look behind me and use the look back button in a better way. Delta time turned on, proximity hours turned on, driver tag turned on as well, so I know who I'm racing. But if I was in F1 esports / F1 sim racing, I probably would turn those off just so they're not distracting when driving around the track. My OSD display is a really big one. Now, just going through it, as I use quite a zoomed in camera angle, so I do change my OSD display. Plus, I just think it looks better and more just open with having the road in a better view. And I found it quite distracting, in all honesty, having so many things in the main part of the screen. So I've moved my track map up to the top right, plus so when you're watching my videos, you can see the track map, because of course my webcam is in the bottom left of the screen as well. So this is just reduced size. So for example, you can see 60% on the track position as well. Then just going through, I have my HUD moved on to my halo at 60% as well. I don't want to make the video too long, and I don't want to make this video forever. So I'm not going to go through and show you every single setting with every single percentage here, because I think you can look at it and judge and make to your own preference. Now, going into the final parts of the video, we are going to be using the camera angle. The reason that this is so important is in every single car now, when you're using the offset T-cam, you have to be changing the lateral to be making sure it lines up appropriately with the rest of the car. It will be out of line and out of sync if you're not careful about it, so you do have to use an individual setting for individual cars. Don't worry, I'll have you sorted out, and I will at the end of the video go through and show every single car with every single setting that I'm using. This is how my on-screen display is looking when I'm driving around the track. As you can see, the halo has now got my HUD on it, as well as the track map top right, and everything is out of the way and looking very clean and very lovely, so I'm not distracted by anything when going around the track. And that is very, very nice. So that has been my settings. Let's get into every single car's on screen camera setting, and then we can be going into that. Before we do that though, we are going to have one more with the cockpit camera, just in case you would like to be using that. I have aligned it to work well also with my HUD setup, so there isn't anything in the middle of the road. You can see my HUD is not over the steering wheel of the car, and it's not in the middle of the road as well. So it is very, very nice like that. Going into the camera angle settings, so you can see what the cockpit is. You can see -7 and then +10. Halo column turned off. Look to apex turned off, because I find it quite annoying and distracting, to be honest. As well, camera shake and camera movement turned to 0. So that is my settings. Let's get into all of the grid, and as well, there won't be live commentary for this bit, but we'll just go through it one by one. So there we have it. That's all of my F1 2025 settings. So hopefully this video can help you get acclimatized and ready to smash out this next year of the Formula 1 game. Tomorrow will be how to master the brand new F1 25 physics at 4 PM UK time. So I'm looking forward to making that video as well. Have a fantastic day. Enjoy F1 25, and I will catch you in the next video. Grazie, ciao ciao, bye bye.